Hello, hello, hello everybody. Welcome to my studio. A little bit of a different intro here, just because I wanted you to see this design right off the bat. Look at this amazing fun project for your summer, to hang on your front door, in your home, on your patio area, wherever you want to put it. This is a surface from Hobby Lobby, and I will put that picture up of what it looks like in the unpainted form. It's part of their spring shop collection. Last week it was 40% off. When I bought it, it was 50% off. You can order it online if it's not sold out online. So this is a really fun project. This is a much longer video than I normally do because this is a big project. It's 24 inches wide. So, and we're basically painting 3 designs in this project. Lots and lots of fun. The elements that I have glued on here at the top came from Hobby Lobby as well. I'll show you the box that they came in, but the packaging I no longer have. Comes in a little box like this. It's in their wood section where they have all of their raw wood, is where I believe I got it. They may have it somewhere else in the store as well, but it's got all these different little wood pieces in it. I think there's 6 in each section. This is like their I don't know, beach themed one, and they had some different themed ones. So this is where I got my pieces to put on my flip-flops. So I will try to have that linked as well. We're going to be using Deco Art Americana acrylic paints with this. Like I said, this is a longer video because we basically are doing 3 different projects. The package you can get on my website, and it has step-by-step written instructions, step-by-step color photos. It has a line drawing. It has listed all of the paints and everything that I use for this project. This packet is actually a much bigger packet than I normally make. It's got 18 pages because I wanted you to have more pictures on the step-by-steps. So it's got a lot of pictures in it. So I just wanted you to be able to have all of that in the packet if you needed it. So it is a few more pages than I normally do, but it's a very fun project, you guys. I hope that you're going to enjoy this one. If at any point you do, please give me a thumbs up, please share, please comment, and please subscribe. It all helps me out, and I appreciate you all. So if you are ready, let's grab our paints and supplies and let's paint these adorable fun flip-flops. Alright, so I've got this piece prepped. Now, this came from Hobby Lobby in their spring shop, $8.99. When I bought it, it was 50% off. It is 24 inches wide and a little over 10 inches tall, and just about a ½ inch thick here. So it's got this rope that is stapled onto it. So I've already painted the back, but I taped off, or put some Glad Press and Seal on my rope so I wouldn't get paint on it. And then I applied my multi-purpose sealer on both sides. Okay. On the back I put it on with a sponge, but on the front, because it has these raised areas here, I had to do it with a paintbrush, and on the sides with a paintbrush. And then I came back with a paintbrush and applied 1 coat of Snow White on here. So I still need to sand the edges lightly from painting it, but I'm going to go ahead and get my base coats on each one of these sandals so I can sand the whole thing all together. Ideally, you would want to go ahead and finish your back and go ahead and varnish it. That way, if you get any paint on it later, you can remove it. But I did not get that done. I'm going to wait and just varnish it all at the end, because this big of a piece with these more raised areas, I probably will take it outside in my driveway and spray paint it with a varnish. So we shall see if that works out. Okay, so I'm going to paint each set of these little sandals a different color. So my first one, I want it to be a pink color, but this pink's a little bit bright for the color that I want. So I think I'm going to mix 2 white. I'm going to see how light this is. 2 white and 1 pink here. Colors are all listed in the packet, so you can get that on my website, lonnalamb.com. I have to tell you that prep is going to be key here. I'm just going to go ahead and paint that part that goes around the toes there, and then I'll come back and paint it separately later. But as I was saying, key is going to be the prep here. It is going to take a long time to prep this piece, to do it well. And you want to do it well, so take your time with it and don't rush it, because your foundation and how well your painting will turn out is based on how well you do your prep. So do your prep, take your time. Yes, this is a big piece. Yes, the prep will take a while. It's the part we do not like to do as artists. We just want to jump right in and paint. But if you don't have a good foundation to start with, you won't have a good result in your painting. So I want you to take your time and base coat everything in. Now when I did these little cracks in here, I put a piece of tape on each side and then just took a little brush and filled in there. I see I'm going to have to come back in and touch up because I just got some of this paint down in there. So just take your time, make sure that you are getting all of your layers on really well. It looks like it's going to take a couple of coats. 2 white to 1 pink for your base coat on this one. I'm not really sure yet on these two what color I'm going to make them, so I'm going to get this one done and come back and we'll see what we've decided on those. Okay, I wanted to pop in and briefly tell you about sanding. Because this is a raw wood and a lot of it has a little bit of a rough cut. Even though I sanded it before I put multi-purpose sealer, I sanded it after the multi-purpose sealer, I sanded it after the white paint, I am sanding it again after I get my base coats on because there is still a lot of rough edges, especially on these raised pieces. So I'm just taking a piece of 220 grit sandpaper. It's got some masking tape on the backs to keep it from tearing and stuff. And I'm going around all these edges, making sure that as I run my finger across them, there's no place that I'm catching or a rough place that doesn't feel smooth, even on my base coat. I want everything to be nice and smooth for for when we put our line drawing on next. So be sure and do this step. This is what gives you a well-finished piece, is taking the time to do all of these steps. And I know a lot of times these steps can be like no fun or monotonous or ridiculous. No matter how many times you have to sand it, you just should do it because it just makes your painted piece that much better for its finishing look. So take your time and sand everything. I'm going to go back over my edges because my outside edges still feel pretty rough and I want them to be just as smooth as everything else. So take your time and lightly sand all your edges. Make sure when you slide your hand over it, you're not feeling any pokey places, any sharp places, rough edges, anything like that. I'm just very, very lightly sanding. I'm not scrubbing it. I'm just very lightly going along the edges and everything, making sure that everything is smoothing out. Even the edges of the sandals are a little rough and sharp, so I want to smooth those out. So just take your time, and then once you've got everything sanded, all the tops and the outer edges, take a damp paper towel or a baby wipe and wipe all of the dust off, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I've got all my touch-up done. I retouched up all of my edges. Take your time, no need to rush. This is definitely a little bit longer of a project for the prep work, and especially if you're going to hang it outside. We want to be sure and make sure that it is sealed well. So you can use your regular varnishes, spray varnish, which I probably on the front will use a spray varnish. But for the back, I'm going to use the outdoor decoupage sealer. And mine's a little thick. I don't know if it's because it's old or that's just the way it comes. But I don't like my sealer to be thick like this. I am going to apply it with a damp sponge. But I'm also going to put some water on this so that I can thin it. I want it to be a flowy consistency so that when I spread it on my surface, it's not leaving big clumps or anything. So, you know, if you've got one of these decoupage mediums and it's getting a little thick, which even just the regular decoupage, I always add water. I want a little bit more flow. I think that's why I like the napkin decoupage medium the best, because it's a little bit thinner. But this is definitely going to give my outdoor surface a little bit more protection. Okay, so I'm just going to use my damp sponge and load it up. And I'm going to apply at least 2 coats with my sponge. And this is also going to help as we paint it, if we have paint on our hands when we touch it, to move it, turn it, anything like that, and we get paint on the back, we should be able to just take a baby wipe and clean it up. So that is going to be another bonus to already having the back of it varnished. Now, I probably will varnish the edges as well. That way if I get any paint over the edges that I don't want, because those edges, you know, they are take a little bit of time to touch up, and I don't want to have to go back and touch them up again. So all this prep work is going to make for a beautiful finish. So don't skip any. Don't skimp on it or anything. It's important. It's alright if you get glue on your handle there. Not a big deal. I got some of those threads in my sponge now from that. Try and wipe them out. And then I'll just finish this off. I'm going to let it dry and apply a second coat. And then when both coats are completely dry, then I'm going to do my edges. It'll be a little difficult to do the edges right now. If I do see any that's run over the edge, take a damp brush and kind of get that little glob off of there, because you don't want anything being globby on your edges. So that looks pretty good. Okay, so for me, I'm going to dry it and apply a second coat and then 2 coats on the edges. I'm still going to use the sponge on the edges. I'm just going to kind of tighten it up so I can just run along the edge. In these really tight places where they're close together, I'll probably take my paintbrush and put some on in those areas, but most of it should be able to be done with your damp sponge. So I'll get this done, and then we'll be ready to move on to putting all the pretty stuff on the top. Okay, so I've got my back varnished. I removed the Glad Press and Seal that I had wrapped my straps on. I've got the back varnished and the sides varnished. It's all dry, so if we accidentally get paint on it, we should be able to wipe it off. And when you wipe it off, if it does end up removing some of the varnish for some reason, you just have to take a little bit of varnish and mix a little black in it and very loosely brush it over or use a sponge to apply it back on. I've rarely had that happen, but I have had it a couple times, so I just wanted to make you aware of a way that you can take care of that. Okay, so everything's smooth, it's ready to go. I love it. I took all the time I needed to prep this surface, which was more time than I take on most projects, but raw wood is just notorious for requiring a lot of prep work. All right, so I want to put some fun stuff on our sandals before we actually put our line drawing on. So I got some punchinella and some drywall tape. I sell both of these on my website, 18 inches for $1. So you can buy some on my website if you are interested. And I'm just going to cut a piece of this off so I can have a piece to work with, because I'm not really sure which sandals I want to put what on. So I'm thinking the punchinella on this one, and maybe the drywall on this one, and then the punchinella on this one. So that is my thought process. So for this one, I think we're going to use just a little bit darker pink than what we used there. You could use white, but all of my base coats have been mixed with white, so they're lighter than the actual color. So I think I'm gonna need a few stencil brushes here. So let me grab some. Doesn't matter what size they are, just grab some. One for each color here. So I'm going to see how this is going to work out. I'm gonna grab a dry paper towel. Okay, so I'm going to load up with the pink that I mixed in here. And I probably won't be saying the colors that I'm using too often, because this is a packet on my website, and I would encourage you to go by it with the line drawing and the written instructions and the pictures and everything that goes with it. Oh, how fun is that? Let me zoom in. See if I can get this one on camera. It's very subtle on there, and I'm going to do it randomly. That looks super cool on here. I really like that. Okay, I'll hold that up. Super, super cool. I like that. We have a line drawing to put on here, so we don't have to worry about covering too much up. And if we do, we can come back after we paint our stuff on here and do some more of this. So cute. If yours isn't showing up, let's say you got your base coat a little bit darker, then add a little bit of a darker pink that is in the palette into yours, and that should take care of that. But I think that is incredibly cool for our background. Okay, I'm going to move to my next color, my blue. Paint is so incredibly thick in my bottle here. Another stencil brush. Remove some of the paint, and this one I'm going to do the drywall tape, make it a little bit different. And we want random in here. We don't want to do solid stuff. You know, it's kind of a hit and miss kind of thing. It's going to make the sandal look more worn. I think it is just a super, super cool technique. You could stamp the background if you prefer to do that, and just have some fun with it. Super cool. Alright, let's do this one. This should take no time whatsoever to do. Put a little bit more right there. That was a little thick. Let me tap a little bit of my paint off. I'll hold it up to the camera when I get done here. I want to make sure I don't get into my yellow one there. Okay, I'm just looking at it to see where I might need a little bit more. Oh, that's so cool looking. Love it. You could do the punchinella on all of them if you want to. You don't have to, or do the drywall tape on all of them. That is going to be a personal preference for sure. I've got myself kind of crowded in my table here, so. Alright, let's do this yellow one. See if this yellow is going to show up or if I'm going to have to add something to it. And yeah, that's going to definitely show up. So fun. Okay, we're putting a design on top of this, so don't feel like you have to fill your whole sandals. I'm trying not to make them matchy-matchy either. Not going to take a lot of paint to do this, so. Okay. There we go with that one. Let's see if I zoom in, if you can see them a little bit better. So there's the blue, the pink, and the yellow. This is all background stuff. Now see, I had paint on the back of my hands, but I didn't get it on the back because it was dry enough that it didn't get on there. So that is how we're gonna do that. So now is the time when we want to put our line drawing on. Each set of shoes has their own pattern. So use some gray graphite and transfer your pattern onto each one. You know, I have the pattern set to, I drew it out. I haven't even tested it on here, but I drew it out. Let me grab my pattern. And it's not a completed pattern by any means, but in the packet it will be divided into 3 sets of patterns, one for each shoe. So as you can see, we're going to put flamingos here, beach balls here, and palm trees and palm leaves on this one. I think they're going to be so cute when they're done. And so just do it however is easiest for you. Yours will be individual line drawings so that you can manipulate it easy enough, and just use your gray graphite, a stylus, a pen, a pencil, whatever you use. Some people like to use a red pen so they know what line they've gone over. But these are pretty basic line drawings. There's not a lot to them, but you do want to make sure you get every element on your sandals here. So I'm going to go do that, and then we're going to come back and start painting, finally. Okay, I've got all my patterns on. Now, if you're doing this particular surface, putting your pattern on this is a little bit, you know, it's a little precarious in some places because this is raised up here, so it wants to keep pushing the pattern up. The most important thing I can tell you is to line up even if you have to do it one at a time, in case I didn't get it drawn on here straight, is to line up this part on the shoe and then tape it down wherever you're going to tape it and slide your graphite under there and do it. Now, the areas that are around stuff like this, those areas are a little bit tricky. Because there's just no, and then these legs come down here and the feet come over here. So some of these areas are going to be a little bit difficult. This is the straight leg, this is the bent leg, and its tail comes over here a little bit. And then on this one it has a tail, comes over here. So you're going to have to, you know, just adjust your drawing as you pick up your graphite and see what lines just didn't quite get transferred on. And this one didn't get transferred on correctly. But overall that looks pretty good. And then this is the foot that goes to this bird here. And then this is the foot that goes to this one. So, you know, just look over your line drawing and make adjustments as you need to. You know, if you need to bring the line all the way over to the you know, wherever you need it. And then this one here, I can't quite see the, and then this leg is over here, so that's where the issue is here. The feathers go that direction. I actually go up. So, you know, you may have to go in and do some adjusting to some of your lines. Okay, so anyway, I just wanted to give you that little tip that, you know, this part right here is going to interfere with your line drawing, getting it on there just like you like it. But I would suggest that you go with the photograph that shows the completed painting, because that's going to help you a lot. And keep your line drawing handy, so if you need to look at it and see where a line is, you can. I'm going to paint everything in on these sandals. I'm going to put some letters that spell out summer on at the end. The reason I'm not putting them on now, because once you get yours painted, if you like all the stuff on there, you don't have to put the letters. So I didn't want to go around the letters with the birds, you know, and stuff, because I just wanted to come in and put them directly on top of the shoe itself. So that's why those are like that. So let's just get ready to paint. Let's paint. So all of our flamingos, I'm going to paint them in with a bright pink. These are going to be some fun flip-flops. So So we'll just paint them all in. It'll probably take 2 coats to get a nice smooth color on here. I think these are going to be super cute when they're done. I may have to adjust here and move my palette above me because I want to zoom in so you can see a little bit and keep you on camera shot so it's not so far away. And before you start painting, if you feel like your graphite lines are just too dark, then erase them back a little bit before you get going with your paint. Okay, just each one individually. Two coats, so I'll do a couple of more with the first coat. I'll probably just go off camera and do all the coats. I might just paint this one entire shoe in, or I might paint them both in just so you can see where I need to go with my lines, you know, in case you didn't. But the pattern has the flip-flop shape, so you could paint this on anything. You know, if you don't have this surface or you just want to paint one pair of the flip-flops, then you can certainly do that. I've got some really fun ideas to go on this, so I think it's going to be a fun project. I mean, all of the prep work and the base coating, all that stuff is what is going to take the majority of the time on this. So I made that neck really fat. I'm not sure it needed to be that fat. It was kind of fat in the line drawing, but not quite that fat. It was interesting when I researched flamingos and all the different colors they could be. Even their legs are different colors, which I found very interesting. Alright, and I'm just using a number 2 round brush here because, you know, all these areas are not great big. And so I don't want to try and manipulate a big brush in here. And don't worry if you get some up on this part, you know, when you're painting next to it, because we're going to paint that a solid color at some point. Completely missed a line on the top of the head there. So you can kind of see how it's taken shape. So everything will get 2 coats. I think I'll just go through and do all the first coats on everything, and then go off camera and do the second coats. You know, adjust your pattern on however you want it to look. Okay, so there's the first one. Oh my gosh, isn't that just adorable, you guys? How cute is that? We haven't even painted the legs or done details or anything. These are going to be the cutest flip-flops ever. Now someone did mention that the dollar store carries like flip-flop wooden cutouts. I don't know if they're individual or how they are. So you could go that route if you didn't want to get one at Hobby Lobby, but I bought this at 50% off. I think when I was in there the other day they had them 40% off because they kind of take turns in putting stuff on sale. I'm not worried about getting any on my beak either because we'll come and paint that in after we get all of the 2 coats on the flamingos to begin with. These are just so cute. And granted, it would be much easier if that raised piece wasn't on there for transferring on your pattern, but I really think that you'll be able to work it out and get it on there. I do highly recommend that you transfer this pattern onto vellum, just because it will hold up a little bit better when you're transferring on with all these raised places. And then this one has a little piece of its tail coming over here. So I want to make sure we get that. So cute. And as you can see, my lines are not perfect, but I'm painting right over them and not going to worry about it. I know part of this I'm going to outline with a black pen. I don't know about the flamingos. I haven't decided on that yet. Okay, now just look over your shoes and see if you missed any place to paint. Again, that's just our first coat, but oh, isn't that adorable? Okay, so our balls we're going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to actually go to a little bit bigger brush probably to paint them in, because we're going to base coat all of them in with white. Base coat them all with a couple of coats of white and then come and add our other colors on here. I think it's just going to make it a little bit easier to do it that way. So I'll just put 1 coat of white on here and see if this brush is going to work. Make sure it might be too big for getting in some of these areas. So, and I did use a circle stencil or template to paint or draw my circles on. So I think I'll just do 1 coat because I still want to see all of my lines in there, and then as we paint it I can put my 2nd coat of white on the white areas. So let me look at my line drawing for this one. I want to see where this ball goes to. In the line drawing it didn't go all the way up to that strap, but I think it's going to have to go all the way up to that strap for the way that I drew it on here, to make sure my circle looks like a circle. So I'm just painting in our circles with white. This will be a pretty easy step. Try not to get any paint over your edges. I mean, I have varnished mine, so if you've varnished yours, you know, you don't have to worry too much. But there's no sense in giving yourself extra work if you can avoid it. And this ball should have come out over here. Let me look at it. But I didn't have my line drawing quite lined up, so I can't see the rest of that ball, so I'm not going to worry about it. So however you drew it, it's going to be just fine. And again, don't worry about getting it on the strap. I'm going to try not to go outside my circle line so I can keep my circle. If you're painting it on something flat and you're going to add the strap later, then you can just draw all your shapes on each flip-flop in and paint them, and then add the strap, the pattern for the strap, after you get everything painted in. Okay, so that's just our basic circle there. I'm not worrying about the outside line, if it's dark or anything like that, because this is the one that I'm planning on outlining with a black pen. I did get a little outside that line on that one, but I felt like the circle was not shaped quite right. And I am using a 12 flat here, but I would recommend going to like a 10 or an 8. This does have a little bit of the ball over here, but not shaped like that. So let me take my round brush and paint that area in. It's a little bit of a hard line on there. Okay. And if you do end up getting your lines darker than what you want and you need to erase them, please be sure that you remove all of the eraser shavings. Wipe them off, brush them off all around your painted, you know, your table and everything. You don't want to accidentally get some in your paint. Okay, the trees are going to be a little bit different when we get to them. We will just start out with a base coat, I think. An undercoat, I guess it would be for them. This is the longest part of the video here probably, so if you want to fast forward through this part of just base coating. really have this design all built out in my mind, so I hope that it comes together and looks super, super fun. Okay, so the pine trees, not pine trees, I forgot what kind of trees these are. You know, those trees that are in the tropics. We're going to, let's see, I think we'll start with a dark green on them for like an undercoating. But I want to get some color on the trunks. And I also might start with a dark color on them. I'll probably have two different colors of green out for my my trees, because I've got some like palm leaves here, and so the trees will probably get an undercoating of a dark color, and the leaves I'm not sure yet how I'm going to do those. So I want to start with my dark color on my trees, which I don't usually start with a dark color, but I think in this instance it's going to be very helpful. And you know, generally they get a little bit bigger as they come down to the ground, so you can adjust your line drawing as you need to. I was not technical in my drawing at all. This was just a fun painting. So anywhere that you can see a pine, not a pine tree, good grief, a palm trunk, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Let me look at my line drawing, because I'm not sure. Do I have a trunk on this one? I do. This one comes over. It's like a crooked, it's like growing crooked, and I actually have a photograph when we went on our cruise of a tree that was growing this direction. Try and get that a little bit straighter there. Okay, let me look at my line drawing. Okay, I think that's all the trunks on that one. Okay, there's one that goes sideways. One here. This one has a trunk. I think that might be all of them for the trunks. Okay, so for our palm leaves, they're all kind of different. So I think some of these I might paint with this more darker, brighter green. And again, this is just this is the one that has like the really straight leaves on it. Okay, so I'm going to find all of those first. Straight. That's not one. This is one here. I'm not sure I put too many of these on. Oops, that was a fat one. They're just straight out from the center. They're not nothing fancy about these, so they're super easy. Okay. I think that may be... Oh, I think this one is one here. No, it doesn't look like one on the line drawing, so I'm not sure. Okay. The other ones, I think, just so I can distinguish which ones are which, I'm going to paint in with a little bit lighter green. We'll come back and add some other greens in here. So I'm just kind of giving the brush a little bit of a push when I start, and then letting it just kind of flick up and create a fun little leaf there. And these particular leaves, it doesn't matter which direction they go. We'll be layering on here, so just put a few on there. That's this one. It's actually going this way. So the top of this one will be off of the sandal. So you can see where we're going with those. Okay, let me see. I've got one here. Okay, and then I've got some other leaves down in here that are a little bit different, so I think I might mix the two that I have here that I've used so far and create a little bit different color, just so we can see a little bit of difference in them. Okay, remember this is just first layers. I don't want you getting too caught up in everything right here. We're just kind of getting a shape and stuff like that in here. Let's see, I've got one here. Which I did a terrible job of putting these lines on. Okay, and I probably will paint the grasses underneath the tree this color as well. I think only a couple of them had some grass sticking up. Oh, there's one of these. Okay, this one had a little bit of grass sticking up on it. Okay, and the starting of the palm trees, the color for them, I'm going to take that darker blue and some brown. I'm going to do 2 blues, 1 brown, and get a really dark green here. And the palm trees right now, we don't have to you know, worry too much about detail. We just want to get some stuff in here. And some of these areas are going to be a little tight, so I'm we're just getting under painting in here, and then we'll come back in and add more layers as we go. Okay, so there's the beginning of one. So it was 1 brown and 2 of that darker green. And we're going to put this on all of our palm trees. This is just underpainting. You know, the lines are just there for kind of the shape, not necessarily, we're not necessarily following those lines for details. So I want you to think about that when you're painting. You know, we're not concentrating too much on those lines. I think some of you might get caught up in those lines. So add a tiny little bit of water to my paint here. Some of these that are really close to that strap are, you know, maybe look a little not quite right, because it can't be helped because it's going underneath the strap. So don't worry too much about it. Okay, let's see if I can do this one upside down. This is such a big piece, I don't really want to turn it upside down if I don't have to. We're going to be coming in and putting other colors on top of this, so that's why I don't want you to get caught up in the lines so much as the shape. Always coming to that center right there where the trunk comes into it. So that'll kind of help if you think about that. Now this trunk is coming. This one's not going to help because this trunk is like this. It's coming off of the side. So it's not as helpful. Right up to that strap. If you get some on the strap, do not worry about it because we're doing some stuff to it. Okay, so there is the first one done with our beginning layers of our shoes. I'm just going to go ahead and go off camera and do this one and then get my second coats on everything. I'm not going to put a second coat on the white. I'm going to do that as I go because one section, I think there's, I don't know, 3 sections that are white and the rest are colored. So you know, you can go in and paint those particular sections a second coat of white if you would like to, and that way you'll be ready for your colored part, but you don't necessarily have to do it that way. So I'm going to get this shoe finished and all of my second coats on. Okay, I wanted to come back on while I was doing my second coats here and show you that I'm painting in the beaks with probably 3 coats of white. It's going to take probably 3 coats to get them a solid white. And then on my balls here, my beach balls, let me zoom in. I just did the center circle on them and then 3 of the sections. Okay, I did a second coat, but I think I will probably come in and do a third coat. I want my white to be really opaque on here. So I recommend that you do 3 coats of white just on, and it doesn't matter which sections. You can go by how I paint them, or you can just do it as you want. Just as long as 3 sections and the circle at the top are white. It doesn't matter which sections they are. And then for the palm trees, I don't think we're going to do a second coat on them. We're going to leave the palm trees and the leaves just with their first coat. We'll just do a second coat on the trunk. So that's where we're going to go with our second coats, and then we'll come back and start adding detail. Okay, so we've got some of the base coats on. So now we're going to finish out a few other base coats, like the legs and the other colors that go on the balls, and then we can do some detail work on this. So the legs, I'm going to grab a small round, and let me zoom in and scoot this over, or maybe not quite that tight. I like to be able to see the whole shoe. So I'm going to do a mixing of color, light brown and the dark brown we used on the tree trunks. When I researched flamingos and the colors of their legs, they were so many different colors. Different values of pink. Some were brown, some were gray. So I'm just going to make mine kind of a toned down brown. And they do have this kind of bump out at the knee. That one kind of goes off there, and then the rest of the foot is there. Okay, so just take your time and draw these, or paint these in. I need to put some water on my palette here. And then the foot part's a little bit fatter, so you can make that part a little fatter. Let me find my line drawing for this one, because that line didn't come out very well. Okay, so it kind of goes behind the thing. Kind of like that. Like I said, adjust as you need to with your line drawing, depending on if you are doing one with this actual part on it. After I get all my base colors on, I am going to, okay, that's kind of a fat leg. Their legs are pretty skinny, so that leg, those legs got just a tad fatter than what I want. I gave a little bit too much pressure on my brush, so I am going to take some of that off with a damp brush here and re-stroke that. Just remove any of the unwanted paint you don't want to have on there. And try and keep it a little bit thinner this time. Move a little bit in here between the two. Alright, that leg's getting just a little bit messy, so I'm gonna get away from it for a moment. So we're just giving the illusion of stuff here. Alrighty. This one kind of goes off of the canvas. Its foot part kind of bends down, and then a little moisture in my brush and paint up to that bend. Okay, that takes care of the legs on that one. So then we'll move over to this one here. And I kind of created a little knot on that one there, but really, and then this foot kind of is more towards us. I guess I should say, not looking at us, but more towards us. Alright, on to this one. I don't want them to be skinny as toothpicks, but I don't want them to be fat either. As messy as I did that one. And I did have to put 3 coats on the beaks. Since that one had a little knot thing on it, I put a knot on that one, but your legs don't have to have those knots in them. Alrighty. Okay, we're not making literal feet here, so legs and feet, just, you know. I am making the foot part fatter though, so the legs are fairly skinny. Can't see that foot. Okay, I think we got all of our feet. feet, our legs and feet on those. I'll come back and repeat with that same mix there. So we're going to go and paint our ball, and I'm going to use a blue, a red, and a green. So just wherever you want to put these colors on your ball, don't have to follow the same path I'm following. And it will take 2 coats, so I'll just do 1 coat on one of the shoe of all the colors I'm doing, and then I'll just go off camera and finish them. I have a little blue peek in here, which we probably won't see at all by the end of it. You just choose whichever section you want to be what color, and you can change your colors on your ball. You can add an orange, a yellow, whatever you want to do. Beach balls come in many colors, and you know, the bigger they are, it seems like the more colors they have on them. So each ball will get 1 section that is blue, 1 section that is red, and 1 section that is green. If you have the ability to put all of the, you know, depending on how much of your ball is showing on the sections. And we'll take 2 coats, and you know, it possibly might take 3 coats on the red. But we've got a good undercolor for our red, so okay, I'm just going to do this one shoe. I'll go off camera and do the other one. So our next color is going to be red. So again, you just pick whatever section that you want to be red. I think 2 coats will be good on our red. We've got a good undercoat of white on there, so should be good. Okay, I think I'll just do red on this tiny little section over here. That by the time we shade, we won't see that at all. And over here. This one red. And these are the things I'm deciding on outlining with a black pen. I haven't decided 100% on that yet. We'll see. Red on this one somewhere. Okay. I think I got red on all the places that I can see. And now we'll go with some green. I want to stay within my pattern lines here. I don't want to go out past. Okay, the green is a little bit more transparent than the blue and the red, so it might take 3 coats. Paint this one first so I don't lay my hand in that one. And after you get all of your base coats in, that's when you want to go in and, after your paint is dry, erase any graphite lines that you can. I mean, you know, if they're really dark and or you've gotten paint on them, they are not going to come off. So I think we won't see them in the end by the time we're done with all of the details. Take your time. There's no need to rush. We're not in a rush for this project. Okay, I think I got all my colors on there, so that looks pretty good. Second coats on everything, possibly 3 on the green. I'm going to get this one caught up with this one, all my coats on, and my second coat on my legs, and then we will come back and probably finish out the flamingos first, because at that point we'll be ready to go across all sets of shoes and finish out all the details on them. Okay, I wanted to come back real quick, and as I'm painting my second layer, I want to tell you, and I have given this tip in many of my videos, but when you're painting your second layer, you do not have to use straight paint out of the bottle. I like to mix a little bit of water in mine and get it a more fluid consistency. It's like a thick wash of paint, and then it goes on much easier, and it fills in all of the gaps that, you know, didn't quite cover the first time. So see how, you know, how rough and that looks. If you use just a good pigmented wash, which I call it a heavy wash, which means it has more paint in it than, you know, a traditional wash that I normally do. Then you're just washing over the color that you just painted and filling in all of those areas and getting a more solid coverage. But you have to have that little bit of flow consistency in your paint, and that makes the second coat go on so much faster. You can also do this with your first coat. I do it with my first coat. If my paint is really thick, I will just apply heavy washes of paint instead of doing one heavy coat of paint. That way I can get more smoothness in my paint and not, you know, have so many brush strokes in it, because thicker paint can leave bigger brush strokes in your paint. So I just wanted to come on real quick while I'm painting my second coats on and give you that very important little tip. Okay, forgot to turn my camera on. So I'm painting some look of feathers, can't even speak, on my birds here. Just doing a little stroke on here. That one's a little long, we don't want it to go past the neck. Alright, so I'll show you on these birds how I'm doing this using a light pink. I'll probably have to do it twice because this light pink is really fading in there. So I'm going to give pressure when I start, and then start letting off, and then come up to the tip and just lift. Okay, those are three pretty big ones, but I want to start at the back here. Pressure, lift. That's a little hard to do going that direction, so let me see if I can turn this and keep this in camera. It is much easier if you can pull towards you when you're painting. And your paint needs to be a good fluid consistency. Okay, this one down here I'll do the same way. Need a little water in my paint because when I'm lifting it's dragging, and I don't want it to drag. I want it to leave that thin little tail thing there. Okay, the other ones I should be able to do this direction. I'm just going to put a couple on this one here. Thin that out so it looks like it's coming from someplace, and then go back here and put a little bit back there. Push, pressure, start lifting up on the tip and roll off the tip and flick it. Not flick it hard, because then you'll make a really long movement there. Dry with my paint again. I have to keep adding a little bit of water into my paint. So we'll just kind of give the look of some feathers on here. Okay, Okay, we'll have to do it more than once. This one is missing its legs. I need to paint this guy's legs in, because he's like this one. Not sure how I missed his legs, because I didn't put it on my line drawing. Maybe he is turned different. Oh, he is turned different. He is, I'm not even going to worry about feathers on him. His neck is over his head. I'm assuming, I don't really know. I just kind of painted it on there. All right, so I'm going to go back over some of these. This is good stroke work practice. I'm going to start on my tip here and just give some pressure as I go. That's not normally the way you should do them. And a good flow to your paint is kind of key here. It's all pressure and release, you guys. Just like on my hand lettering video that I have, it is all pressure and release. Okay, I have erased all my graphite lines on here, so it's pretty done with that. Looks like I missed one there. Make sure your eraser shavings go off and away from your painting area. Very important. Okay, so I want to add a little line under the wings, I guess. So I'm going to get a much darker pink here, and then we'll finish out the beaks. We'll see how this is going to work out. If it's going to work out at all. I have a look I'm kind of going for, but you just never know. So this is just going to be kind of a shading underneath these. Just kind of lining under them. With this darker pink. Just giving them a little bit of a shadow. Okay, that's a little close there. I have to come from this direction. Let me zoom in just a little bit. I don't want to get you too tight in here, because then you won't be able to see everything I'm doing. Much larger pieces are a little bit trickier to keep on camera. I might have to add a little bit of blue into that to get that a little bit darker. We'll see. I'm not going to go into great detail on these things on here, on any of the shoes. I don't want to go in depth to that, extent, but you certainly can be as detailed and in depth as you want to be as you paint yours. Okay, that was kind of big. Okay, because I'm not really going to do any shading on them. I'm going to do a little highlight on the wings. I mean, that was just about all the shading I was going to do. So I'm going to thin a little bit of white here. and just put a little. Oh, you weren't even on camera for that. Sorry about that. A little highlight on each little wing. Nothing big, obviously. It's much easier, you know, if you're painting this, you can pick it up and turn it any direction that you need it. For me, right now, I need to keep it this direction so that you can see everything. I did put one extra little feather up there on that one. Okay, just kind of laid the brush down and let it leave a little bit of white paint. Probably will go back and do that a second time because, you know, I want that little white to pop. Just a quick little second time here. Okay. I think I might darken that color that I put underneath there by mixing a little bit of my blue in with it. And thin it down, which is going to make kind of a purpley color here. And see if I can't get this a little bit. I mean, I don't even know if it's necessary because I don't want to go overboard with details. We're going to finish out the beak and we'll put a little bit of a highlight on the legs. So this step, do it or don't do it. It's up to you. It's just a little darkening here. I just mixed a little blue in with my dark pink that I put on here. I'm not sure it's even gonna, you know, make a difference. Okay, let's put a little highlight on the legs with some white. And this will be where you determine which leg is in the front. So it's just a little streak of white on there, maybe on the foot. Don't fill in the entire leg. That is the key thing here. It's very subtle. Probably we'll go back and do it a second time if we need to because white does kind of fade in there. And I would like for this highlight to be a little bit more on top. But if you're worried about doing it, afraid you're going to fill in your entire leg, then don't worry about it. The more fluid your white is, the easier it goes on, but also the more fluid it is, the more transparent it can be. So when you add water to make it more fluid, it You don't have to do do the entire leg like I just did right there, because that's kind of weird looking. Okay, thin this one. That got a little wide, and I think I might just remove a section in here, kind of break that up, not make it solid. I don't want it to look like a skeleton leg. That one kind of looks like a skeleton leg. Alright, I'm just going to quickly, maybe, fresh paint is going to work best here. I do not have fresh paint out, so I'm struggling just a little bit with the paint wanting to come off of my brush. The fresh paint will come off of your brush so much easier. If your first one looks good, then, you know, don't do a second one. I'm not really trying to fill up. I have to wide angle back out so you can see the entire shoe. I'm not really trying to fill up the entire leg or the entire first highlight that I did. I'm just kind of putting just a little bit on part of the highlight that I just put on there. That is one key to making your highlights kind of pop, is not to try and do the entire highlight that you did previously. Okay, I think that's good enough. Those are cute little flamingos. Now we got to finish out the beaks. I'm going to have to get a shorter detail liner for that, I think. Okay, we're going to work on the beaks. The beaks have a little bit of a black area on the end of them. So I'm using a very small detail liner. This is well, actually it's a 10-0, but it's short. And we're going to give a little eye on here as well. And I think actually they might have a second line that comes up on there. It looks like on the camera shot, it looks like I didn't get all the way to the white, but I am all the way to the white there. Oh my gosh, a bird just flew into my window. No, it's not that clean. Okay, doesn't matter what I do. It must be some kind of glare. But it is all the way up to the white. There is no white showing. I'm not really sure why that is translating like that on camera. Okay, so let me think for a second, because that one was upside down. It goes from here to here. Let me see if I drew my lines. I don't know if I drew my lines. Okay. Get you on camera. Again, that one's looking like I'm not filling in all the white area, but I am. And then a little eye. Okay. I'm not sure if I am going to outline these beaks or not. Okay, they don't have to be perfect, so don't feel like you have to get them perfect. Just kind of giving the illusion of, got some eraser shavings right there. I think I got it. Fresh paint's going to be best here, okay? That was a ginormous beak, let me tell you. We're going all the way to the tip of the beak. Almost splitting it in half. Technically, it is not in half. It's just mostly on the beak, the end of the beak area. But since we're not painting realism here, I do not want you to stress out about this at all. Okay, we're just making some fun little flamingos here. Oh, they're so cute. Okay, got one more guy on here, or gal. We are just keeping it simple. Okay, so there's all those. Keeping it simple, guys. Simple, simple, simple. Another one with a ginormous beak. Got a little carried away with that one, I think. And one coat should take care of this, but if it looks a little choppy or blotchy or anything like that, you might want to come back and do a second little thin layer on here. A bit harder to do when the bird's upside down, but I did it. Okay, one more. So I can be up here in camera. I don't know what my deal is lately. I've been painting some big stuff and it is hard to keep it on the camera shot, let me tell you. Alrighty. Now we'll probably put a little highlight on the end of the beak when it gets dry. So on this one, all we got to do is paint this part before we do all of our major shading on it. But I want to go finish out the basic parts on the other ones first. But I'm going to quickly dry this, and Then we'll put just a little highlight on the beaks. But if you need to go over with a second coat of black, be sure and do that first. I think these are coming together so cute. Alright, I think I'll do some fresh white because my white's getting a little dried up over there. I don't want this highlight to look like a nostril or a line, so we'll see how it looks. If it doesn't look right, then I'll just take it off. I'm not really sure that's going to be what I want. So I think we'll leave a highlight off for now until I figure it out, because I might have to just go and outline the beaks maybe, so that I can I don't have that one drawn on right or painted on right. This one here needs to come down like that. That area needs to be pink. So I'm going to touch that up real quick. I'm not sure how I drew it, but I clearly painted it wrong. That's not even anywhere close to what I drew at all. Okay, well that looks a little bit better. So I'm going to have to decide if I want to outline all of the beak or not. I might go check out some pictures of some flamingos again and see what I think about doing that. So I think we're going to move on to the balls from here, and they're going to be pretty easy. Okay, so I'm looking at flamingo beaks. They are rather long. And they do have some of like the body color on the beaks. So I'm going to put a little bit, I mixed a little bit of the wing, that lighter pink in with it, so it wouldn't be quite so bright. Because on the beaks it appears to look a little more muted than the body color. So I'm just going next to the black. Not worrying if it's a straight line, because on their beaks it's not necessarily a straight line by any means. So I'm just putting a little bit on here, not an excessive amount, just a little bit of this pink on here. Okay. More details would be a black line that runs up from the beak, the side of the beak, up towards the eye. So I don't know if I want to do that much detail on here though or not, because it would come up. Okay, it's a lot of moisture. might define the beak a little bit more. So okay, that one was kind of thick there. It needs to be thin, not thick. So maybe just a tad more moisture. I'm just coming out of the black and going towards the eye a little bit. I'm just going to put optional step here because, you know, this might be more detail than you want to put on yours. And I really was not wanting to do a ton of detail on here. That one was very, very fat. Okay, so that can be an optional step, whatever you want to do. And the eyes are small, they are generally a light colored, but I'm going to leave mine just that little black dot because I don't want to do any more than that on those flamingos. I think they look pretty good. So I think adding the pink on the beak though did help the beak a little bit. Not that you can see it a whole lot in the camera shot, but there's that little line of pink next to the black. So your beak should be black, pink, and white, and then a little black line kind of going through it. All right, we're going to call the flamingos done. Well, let's get ready to move on to the balls now. All right, I figured out how I want to finish up the balls here. They're going to be pretty easy process. I've decided not to outline them with black. I could add some black on here because I have black here, but I don't necessarily need to. If you want to outline your ball and all the sections and everything with black, then you go ahead and do that. But as you can see on this particular sandal here, I have done the shading on them. So we're going to do this in the same way. See how these look more rounded and, you know, almost like you could grab them off of there. We're going to get that effect, and we're going to mix our brown that we used for the trunk of the tree and our blue that we used in our shoe and get like a blue-gray color. My water drops are here, so I'm working that in till it is so incredibly sheer. Okay, I'm going to touch the tip of my paintbrush to my paper towel, let it remove some of that heavy stuff that's on the very tip of my brush, and then I'm just going to go around. I'm going to start in a dark area and work this around to as far as I want to go with it. I'm not going to do the entire ball, but I do want to do a good portion of it. So this is where you need to have the ability to move your piece whatever direction that you need to move it in order to get the look that you're going for. And try and keep the roundness. That's going to be key. Keeping the ball looking round as we do this. Okay, so we're going to do all of them the same way. Water drops on your palette, a little bit of brown, a little bit of blue. I'll show you that again. It's just a little bit. I'm working it into the water that's in my brush. I need a little bit more blue. That's a little bit too brown. And it's extremely, extremely sheer. If you have a lot on your brush, touch it to your paper towel. And then we're just going to go in here and create the softest, sheerest of floats here. If you get hard lines, take a damp brush and remove the paint, because that's not, we don't want hard lines because we're not outlining the balls. So if you get that really hard line on the outside edge, you know, out here, you might want to remove a little bit of it. Okay, and you're going to continue to keep mixing. You'll probably have to mix with every ball that sheer color of blue-gray. It's the blue with a little bit of brown in it. Keep that loaded. I mean, so tight on here. We just want a few hairs to have that paint on it, and the rest of them can have water, because that's going to help you move this paint. Touched it with my finger and removed a little bit there. But I do have to mix it for every single ball, because I'm making such a sheer color. Whatever I mix on my palette is on my brush, and then, you know, when I go and paint, it's using everything that I've got here. And like I said, if this is something that you don't think you can do or you don't want to do, then you can certainly just outline it with some black if you so choose. Okay, see, I'm not going around all of the balls. No, the entire ball, I mean, not... I mean, when we just see a piece of one, I'm doing all that I see. I hope I'm not confusing you. Okay, I'm going to make that blue-gray color. And we'll go up here and do this one. I'm going to start in a dark color and work into that white, because then I can smooth it out a little bit easier. Move to the next one. Got to mix some more. Can't really start in a dark area on this one, but let me turn it because it's going to make it easier for me. This is such a light color, you guys. Don't let it get too bold. Clean up with the water edge. I lost my shape there a little bit, so I had to put it down so I could put more pressure on it. Keeping it up in the air for you guys was a little bit difficult. Now see, that's got a little bit of a hard line on it, but it's got enough shading that I think I can get by with that amount. But I will come back and probably shade that one again. Okay, just a couple more on this shoe. Try and keep you on camera shot here. That could have a little bit more brown in it. Keeping the shape, that is the key here. These ones on the edge, I'm just going to do the entire thing. We are going to shade along the edges here on the shoes, so some of that will be completely covered up. Okay, I got this one here. I don't have tons of paint or water in my brush, so I can have more control over that float. Let's see if I can make this one look a little bit better. And then I think this one here. I'm just gonna look over them and see if they need a second. This one just needs a little bit on this one edge here. Not that we'll probably end up seeing that after we shade on the sandal itself, but I just kind of want to have it on there. Visually, it looks better. This one I'm going to bring the shading up just a little bit on this ball because we see so much of this particular ball here. So, and probably this one, just a little bit more, bring it up. Go. Getting a little bit more on some of these is going to definitely help keep their shape. Just kind of using what I have left here on my palette. You have to be careful with a wash because if you use too much water going back over it, even though it's dry, you can still lift it off. And right now I have no water in my brush. I've used it all up, so I'm going to get a little bit of water. I see a couple that I want to shape a little better and darken just a little bit. Okay, so the balls are pretty easy. We got to put a highlight on them now, and then they'll be done. So just take your time with your highlight, your shading. Make it a wash. Don't have it too heavy on your brush, and just softly blend that. The more that you work it in on your palette with a little bit of water in your brush, the more sheer it becomes. So if you go to paint it on, you can't even see it. Touch your paper towel to wick out a little bit of water out of your brush. Then go back and add a little bit more paint and water into the area where you've already blended it. And that area will have enough water for your brush, and then you can get a little bit more paint on your brush that way. I do have a video on doing floating on my YouTube channel, so you can see how I do it in detail. Alright, so I just want to add a little highlight on here with my detail liner. I've thinned some white paint down, and we're just going to add shine on here. You can put one line, you could put two lines. you know, whatever you want to do. And that line's crooked, so I'm not doing that line. Let's get that right off of there. Let that dry, and then I'll decide if I want to come back to that. Need a little bit more fluidity to my white. Okay, did I miss any? I think they look pretty good. I don't want them to look like peppermints. They can very easily start looking like peppermints, so don't get too wild with that highlight. Probably just one line is going to be best, and yeah, just keep it kind of simple. I think this line here I may take off. I really just think the one line going on here is going to be sufficient. So any of them that I put two lines on, I'm just going to remove that. Be careful not to get into my float, because I don't want to remove my float. So this one here has two lines on it, and I think I'll take, well, I'm going to take them both off because I'm not sure where that float needs to be. Alright, let me think about that one here a second. Where did I do my brush? There it is. Because this one's pretty front and center here. I think I'll do it like that. And that looks pretty good. Okay, those are our beach balls. They are done. So we've got the strap and the shading to do, and then the lettering. I'll be doing the lettering at the end, but I have a special feature that I'm going to add on here after we get all the shading and the straps done. Alright, we're ready to move down to our trees. They are going to be so easy and so incredibly fast. Seriously, we have very little that we have to do to these trees. A couple layers, lighter layers, the leaves as well. We'll do probably at least one more layer on the leaves of a different value of green. So yeah, they're going to be incredibly fast. Okay, we are going to finish up all of our palm fronds and our trees. I've done this one to kind of show you where we're going to be going. We're not doing a lot. We're going to keep it fairly simple, but I have divided these up into certain types of palm fronds. This one I am calling a spiky palm frond. Okay, this one I am calling a leafy palm frond. So there's two on here of that one. Only one of these. And then this one I'm calling the largest palm frond. Okay, so in the directions, that's what they will be titled. And then we have our palm trees. Okay, the first instruction for this one, after we've got all of our base coats in, is for the trunk. So let me put some fresh paint out here because I have just made a mess of my palette. I've been just painting away trying to figure out mixes here. We're going to take some of our dark brown and some of our light brown that we used over here. I just want to make sure I got enough paint out for what I want to do here in a minute. I think I've got everything out. Okay. I'm just going to use a 1/4 inch angle brush to do most of my painting on this. I will use a 2 round to do these smaller fronds and the grasses down here. This is just grasses under the tree. Okay, and I think there's only one here that has grass under it and one here. Okay. All right, so let's do the tree trunk. So I'm going to take a mix of my dark brown and my light brown and just mix them together. And then I'm just going to kind of touch the edge of my pine tree. I'm going to keep calling these pine trees. Oh my gosh. Of my trees, on my trunks. I'm going to touch the edge of my trunks. And whatever edge you decide to do is going to be just fine. And just give one side a highlight, basically, is all you're doing. Let me see if I can zoom you in a little bit. I can zoom you in, but we're not going to be able to see the entire shoe, I think, doing it this way. I am so crowded here on my desk with this 24 inch. Let me wide angle out just a little bit. Okay, so there I just did one with the equal mix of my light and dark brown. So I'm going to wipe my brush out. I don't really need to wash it out. And take my light brown and some white. See if I can find a place to mix this. And this will be the brightest highlight on here. So I'm just going to put it in a couple of places. On my trunks, and that will finish our tree trunks. Okay? Super easy. Okay? I'm going to drop down and finish the grass underneath this one palm tree since there's just the one. And I believe this was Mystic Teal and New Leaf on here. So we're going to take I'm going to take just the Mystic Teal now. You can do this as your last one or here. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do. And then I'll just wipe that out and grab some really bright green. I'm just going to mix that into my dirty brush. Let me dry that because if I try to go over it right now, I'm just going to make a muddy mess. And it does look like I added some burnt umber in there with that first mix. I don't have that in my instructions, so that was Mystic Teal, or that teal green, and some dark brown. So I'll do that and dry it. Change that instruction. You can go over your base layer a second time if you want, but there's really no need. We're not getting real life detail on here. All right, then I'm going to take my mid green and my brightest green, I think is what I did, into my dirty brush, and just add a few of those in there. That's it. We're not getting carried away with anything there, so I don't want you to like overthink that or overstroke it or anything. It's just a few little strokes in there. Okay, just make some grasses. We're not creating fine art here. Okay, I'm going to go up and do the spiky one. The spiky one is incredibly easy. Our base color we did it with, and I'm just going to mix my base color and some brown and get a little bit darker. And I'm going to go back over and make sure I flick out and get a nice spike on the end if I can. I can't on that one, but and then a little bit more of the dark brown in my brush here. Maybe just a tad more of that green. Not quite so brown. And there's the stem. Okay, that one was super easy because we basically just repeated our first layer on here just to darken it. I didn't want that to get too technical. So, you know, if you want to go back and add some brighter color onto that, by all means, you can do that. But we have so much going on with these, we don't really need that one to be bright. Okay, let's move to these two. These are my leafy fronds, and I'm going to mix my dark and my mid-value green together. And just put a few in there. We don't need a whole lot. Well, probably like to be on camera, wouldn't you? So we had that kind of lighter color as our base color. So now I'm adding in just a few of some darker ones on here. Just giving those a little bit of darkness. I think this side could be a little bit more darker ones. Okay. Alright, I will rinse my brush for the next layer, which is going to be just our brightest green. I didn't really do a whole lot to these. Actually, I'm going to have to mix that. I think I'll use my mid-value green is what I used. And just get a few light ones on here. They're kind of yellow-green light. They're not anything technical. And then we will just dirty brush into our dark green and a little tiny bit of brown, and create our veins down the center. Now, I won't have any step-by-steps for this particular stuff because it's really just a couple of strokes here, a couple of strokes there. And then just make the end of your palm frond there. Okay, so we had two of those on there. Super easy. Okay, and then we've got these two. Okay, and these are my largest palm fronds. Okay, so we're going to put our dark green and our brown mixed together, and we're going to do a few leaves of this. And you don't want to cover up all of your previous stuff. A little bit of water. And you don't want to make it completely filled in either. You know, some little gaps in there is really nice. So let me go up here and do this one. I'll do it upside down, but I think I can maybe work it out here. Okay. And one up there. And then I'll rinse my brush. I want to dry those because I don't want to have my colors turn muddy. We're going to use our two lightest greens and mix them and see if that's going to come up with a color that will show up on here. I'm going to redo my dots in my background because I really can't see them, so I want them to be just slightly darker than they are. So as soon as we're done, okay, I'm going to have to add maybe a tiny bit of white in there. Our two lightest colors and some white, or maybe Sunny Day. Let's go with some of that bright yellow. So, yeah. It's really not showing up like I would like it to show up. It's not as green as I would like it to be either. So just play around with your colors. That's pretty close to how I did my other one. And then we'll do our center vein again with that dark green and brown mix. Maybe get the paint to come off my brush. Okay, I'm gonna call those done. That's pretty good. I don't want us to stress out. I just want you to basically take your greens and mix them any way that you want to, and create those palm fronds any way that you want to. It does not have to be exactly like mine, because you can mix these colors and create your own mixes that look amazing to you. Okay, let's do our palm trees. And let's see. We're going to take our dark green, our mid-value green, and our bright yellow, or our light yellow that we have here. And we're going to start creating some, I'm using my angle brush and I'm touching it along like what would be the rib of the palm leaf, and I'm just pulling down. This is an incredibly easy process. Okay, we don't want to lose all of our dark in here, so if we get carried away with our layering of colors, we can certainly come back in and put some of that base dark back in here. We'll be using that mix anyway for our veins, to put our veins back on. Okay, where's my mix? And like I said, you can mix your colors any way that you want. All of these colors will just, you know, you can create a whole new color other than what I'm using here. So that's where you can have fun and be creative. Let's see if I can paint this one upside down here. Just a little flick. We're not, you know, doing massive detail here. Okay, I think I got all of them on there with their first layer. Okay, I'm gonna rinse my brush, and I do want to make sure those are dry. And then we're gonna mix our medium green and our bright green. And we'll see what kind of color we get here. Too much water in my brush. And we're just going to put this in a few places. We're not going to fill in our trees with this. Just pick some places and tap some in. Add a little bit of that light yellow that we base coated in if you want to. Okay, just a few places. Don't fill in the tree. And if you paint all of your trees at the same time, they will look the same. But if you don't paint them at the same time, they are not, because you can see I painted those and now we're working on this one. So So, yeah. All right, I'm going to dry that. We're going to add our lightest color in here, and then we're going to put some of that dark back in here. Okay, see if this bright is going to show up. Yep, that's showing up pretty nice. This is a pretty transparent color here I'm using, so we definitely want to put some of that darker green back in. I feel like I lost a lot of it on these. On the other ones I didn't feel like I lost as much, so that's what happens when you don't continue and paint everything all at the same time. You paint differently. Oops. See, I knew I'd get you off camera when I finish those two up there. Alright, so let's go back to our dark green mix, which was our darkest green and our brown. Too much moisture. Whew. Alright, I want to tap a little bit in the center here, you know, where all those palm fronds kind of come together. I want it to be a little dark in there. And then, now you can do this with a round brush, you know, which would obviously give you a much narrow palm frond vein. But I'm going to put my veins back in. I want to know where those and then we can put a little bit of darkness back in here, maybe underneath some of these to give it a little bit of a shadow back in there, but maybe a little bit more of that green that's a little brown. Okay, so just adding some of the dark back in there. I like to tap a little bit in the center, and then I'm just going to create my veins. Have to put some bright back on that one. Tap a little bit in the center where all of the veins come together. And then after you do this, if you really feel like, well, that leaf could have a little bit more on it, go do it. Just go do it. It's all good. It's very hard to tap a little bit here in the center, so I'm just going to basically work on the veins here. It's kind of hard to distinguish some of these. Tap a little bit of that dark back in there. I feel like some of these need to be stroked again with their lightest color. That one looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit of light color back there on that one. So, get a little bit of light color in my brush. And then I'll see if I can It is really hard to paint this when you're upside down, so I'll make sure that you take the time and you know, move yours around in a direction that's easy for you. I'm gonna put it, okay, that's a lot. I just want to put a little bit of darker stuff in here. I feel like the whole tree is light. So this is where you just, you know, think, what color would I want to put in there? And pop some in. And no right or wrong here. If I can teach you one thing, is just go with the color that you like, and just go with it. Just go with it. Now I like this tree much better. I think I did my palm frond. This one I think just has too many palm fronds on it. So I'm going to see if I can thin those down and make like one big one like here. And then I'll come back in and change it up a little bit. And maybe right here we could combine those two and make one bigger one. I think that's going to help it look a little bit better. I might do the same with that one. That one doesn't look too bad. This one looks okay. But I'll have to flip those up to get a few less on there. So let me see if I can work some light color together. Forgot which one I did. Which one I made whiter. Okay, now I gotta get the really light on there, and then see if I can get those veins popped back in there. Remember, they're green. We do want some highlight on them, but I think that looks a little bit better. I'm running out of my dark color here. Get a little darker back in here. Okay, just play with it a little bit until you get it somewhere where you're happy with it. This is one that's coming down here underneath this one. I really feel like I muddied that one up, so I'm going to have to get it dry and redo it and fix these up here. First of all, I got to get a better vein or something established in here. Maybe a few darker ones That's what this one needs. Lighter stuff on a couple of these. Okay, that looks better. Alright, those are looking pretty good now, except for this one here, and I think I'm just going to have to make that one on top here and push this one back. That brightest green on there. Alright, that looks a little bit better. By the time we get everything else on there, those things are going to just be so far in the background. Let me wide angle out. Wide angling out. It's going to make everything look better. Oh, those look great. I'm so happy with them. I think they look amazing. So we've got all of our design on our shoes. I think next we'll paint the straps and get them done. Okay, before we move on, I wanted to redo the dots in the back of this because I cannot even see them. They are so light. So I'm going to take my color that was mixed in with the base coat and some of my, maybe some brown, I think. We'll see how this looks. It's going to take just a tiny bit of brown in this. Maybe to darken up this yellow a little bit. Alright, I'm grabbing my punchinella. I can kind of see the pattern. I mean, it is so light. That's still pretty light. I don't want it to become too brown. If I get it too much brown, it's going to become very muddy. We can see that a little bit better. And then up here, there was some back in here. Put a few. I mean, if you can see your yellow, then you don't need to change. But I can't see anything. It's just really pushed back into the background. Just a little bit too much for me. Let me see if I can line this up here. Okay. That definitely looks better. So let me do this other shoe. See if I got it dark enough. I mean, this is seriously so light that it is very hard to line up where it was at. That doesn't look quite as dark. out here. Might help you see it a little bit better. I mean, obviously, I'm not getting it, you know, everywhere that I had it before, and I'm seriously not gonna worry about matching up the dots because it's just too hard. Because I can't see them. So I'm just gonna throw another layer of them in here. I don't think it's gonna, you know, make a lot of difference. Okay. I think that looks much better. Much better on the yellow ones. I like that tons better. Now on the blue one, it seriously could be a little bit darker. I'm not sure I could match this stuff up at all. Oh, maybe I can. I'm just thinking the exact same color, maybe just a little bit more of it instead of such a light layer. I'll do a little tiny bit darker. I'm still going to remove a lot of that off my brush. Okay, that might be too dark. I like the very light. This is much easier to line up than I thought it was going to be. So, you know, just when you do it the first time, just maybe a little bit darker than what I initially did. Some. That looks better on that one. The pink one looks really good. I don't have to do any more to the pink one. But these two were just not quite dark enough. That one didn't quite line up, so it looks like a blurred place. But because there's these lines on here, it makes it a little bit easier to line it up. And then I had some in here. Bit here. Okay, that looks much better. I like that so much better. So just add enough in there that it's where you can see it. So I can definitely see it on all of the shoes now. The pink looks really, really good. So now we've got some fun stuff going on there. Okay. All right, so let's paint in our straps. I have an idea of what I want to do here. Okay, I think I settled on the colors for my straps here because I don't want them to, I don't want to be matchy-matchy. So I'm going to take my blue that I used over here on the balls. Keep me a damp brush handy because I know I'm going to make a big mess here. The edges are what's going to be difficult, and I think I will paint the tops and then tape off the edges. I think this has a little bit of my light blue mixed in with it. It's not straight. Straight blue. Got paint all over my hand now. Baby wipe time. Get it off my brush. I'm just going to keep transferring it everywhere. That's my cleanup brush. Clean up. Because this is making a big mess. So probably ideally you want to take some, I would use some like artist tape, something that has some give that you can stretch, which I do sell on my website. But it's a thin, very thin paint. And tape off your straps. I am going to do that as soon as this coat dries. Somehow I streaked my pink there. Okay, so the next one I'm going to paint yellow, but it's not the yellow that I used over here. I'm actually going to mix a bright yellow in with it just to put the first layer on so that it will have some opacity to it. Because the color we used for the base over here, we mixed a little white with, give it some opacity. So I'm going to do that here. I'm mixing my yellow and a bright yellow with it. Okay, now cleanup time. Get my yellow off of there. I think this is going to make these flip-flops look so much cuter than having them a color that matches the sandal itself. And that's going to give us more flow to the project because the colors will all be cohesive across the entire thing here. Okay, clean up. I want to make sure I get everything cleaned up because if I don't, it's going to be on here. It's going to be pretty much impossible to get it off. Look, that yellow does not want to come. That blue off of there. That's a lot of water. I mean, it's not the end of the world if it's left on there, you know, because we do have to shade around these. Okay, and then this one down here, move it down. The pine tree one, we're going to do that one with a bright pink. But I think my first layer I will have to put some white or something in it, just to get it a little opaque. I got a lot of paint on my brush here. Trying to stay up on the top here. till I can get it taped off. We're going to apply 2 coats on here and just do some minor highlighting. So my second coat will be whatever my darkest pink is. On all of these it will be just a color, not a mix, on my second layer. Okay, alright, so I'm going to let these layers dry here, these horrible layers, and then come back and get a second coat on here because these look pretty bad right now, but I think they are going to look so awesome. So awesome. Can't wait. Okay, I thought I'd come back and tell you to don't worry about taping it off. Oh, great. We're only going to paint the top edge of these straps. It is going to be way too ridiculous to try and paint the edges. So just paint your top area. And I'm using a 1/4 inch angle brush because I can use the brush flat in these bigger areas and then be up on the chisel edge as I come down the strap. And that's going to keep me from going over the edge and getting on the rest of the sandal. So taping off was going to take me a lot of time. So I decided that was just too tedious. So this will help keep it off of your sandal itself. So I just got one more to finish and then we'll be back. Okay, let's put a highlight on our straps. Nothing big, you know, we're just going to do a little kind of dry brushy highlight. Just kind of follow the strap a little bit. We really don't have to worry too much about that end because I have something really cool planned for it. So just in case you don't want to do the cool thing I am going to do, then you can certainly add a little dry brush highlight on there. We're not going to do any shading on these. We're keeping the details fairly simple, easy. I feel like the flamingos had a few steps, not a lot. The balls, incredibly easy. And really, these were easy. It's just, you know, picking your greens and putting them and mixing them. I mean, I give you a suggestion for mixing, but you certainly don't have to do it the mixes that I do. You can, you know, make your own mixes. That is what is so fun about painting. You get to you know, be creative and come up with your own colors. And I love to mix colors, so I really encourage you to give that a shot. Alright, so see, just a quick little dry brush highlight on those. Nothing serious. Alright, I've got a couple more things I want to do before we do all the shading around this. One I'm uncertain of, and one I'm absolutely doing. So I'm going to get it out here and get it ready. Okay, I thought I'd come back and just show you how I'm painting these. These really are easy to paint. I'm not worried about painting the sides at all, just the surface. And so I'm just using a little bit of paint and laying my paintbrush flat so it doesn't puddle in all those little cracks in there, and painting them up. This one I want to be a yellow. kind of a bright yellow, so we'll paint it up. I probably should put some white on there to begin with, because that yellow is gonna not show up too well on this wood piece. So mix a little white in with my yellow and get a couple of coats on here. They won't take long to dry. And then my green one, doesn't matter, my leaves, whatever colors of green that you have, just mix them up. A green that you like. We have all these colors in our, I just picked up 2 colors on my brush. They're not even quite mixed. So that's really cool looking. Although we're not going to see a lot of this once we add our bling on here. So I don't want you to overthink. Just get a little paint on there. The white will and the yellow will definitely need a couple of coats. I think we'll just do a couple of coats on each of them, because that way when we add our bling, it's all going to be looking good. Okay, so I'm going to get these dry, get a second coat on them, and then we are going to bling them up. Alright, you guys, these are painted. I think they're going to work out just fine. Now, I want to give you some options here. Because I don't want you to feel like you have to do it the way that I'm doing it, but do it however you want. I am going to cover mine with gloss varnish and then sprinkle glitter on them, okay? But you can use Glamour Dust Ice Crystals. This is one of my favorite products from DecoArt, and so you have that option. But I like doing it this way lately, and so I am going to put my varnish out, and we'll do one at a time. Okay, so on this one I am going to use the Glamour Dust, but in the dry form, the crystal color, which is their ice crystal one. So pretty. And then I just have some random glitters that I picked up at Michael's and Hobby Lobby. I've had them for years. Hopefully the glitter is still good. So I've got a bright yellow and a bright green. So I'm going to give those a shot and see if I like them. So I'm going to put a coat of varnish on here. And I'm going to do one at a time. I don't want my varnish to start drying before I can get my glitter on here. And I want to look at it in the light, make sure it's got all of its areas covered. And then I'm just going to sprinkle my glitter right on top of it. Oh my gosh. You guys cannot see this as well as I can see it. It is so pretty. I mean, oh my gosh. I wish I could make you see that bling, bling, bling. It never shows up well on camera, I'm telling you, but it is stunning. And you can put as many coats on here as you want of varnish and then glitter. I'll probably just do one. And we'll see how that goes. I'm trying not to get my glitter so thick that it pools up in my cracks here. Not my glitter, my varnish. But I want enough on it that it's going to stick every place. Okay. Put that on there. Alright, I'm going to move these over, mostly because I don't want to accidentally hit them and knock all the stuff off. I'm going to put this glitter back in my little container if I can. I'm not sure that I can, but this kind of paper stuff I got it on is not, doesn't work well for releasing the glitter. This is the backing to a label. So I'll get as much of it back in the jar as possible, which I'm going to have glitter everywhere, you guys, so just so you know. You cannot glitter stuff without glitter going everywhere, and I'll have to tell my husband, don't go into the studio. There's glitter everywhere. Definitely have to be vacuuming my rug I keep under my chair. See, that's what I don't want to do, is knock it out of my hand, and then this one's a little bit harder to hold the edges because the edges are. But make sure you got enough on there. And one at a time. This one has a little shaker top on it. So that's why it didn't really matter so much about the paint part, because we were going to be covering it up. Oh my gosh, look at that. Stunning. Alright, let's get this one. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get that glitter back in the container, but I'll give it a shot. Okay. Next, glitter, glitter, glitter. Pile it on there. You want it to really be coated well. And then try not to touch it when you pick it up. This one is the hardest one to pick up, I'm telling you. Look at that. So pretty. Now I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get this back in the container, but you know me, I'm going to give it a try. Because that's a lot of glitter. Generally I do this on a paper plate, and then I can fold the paper plate and get the glitter to alright, I think that's the best that's going to be done there. Alright, let's move on to our yellow one. I poured out enough varnish here for probably 30 or 40 of these things. Try and keep that glitter out of that crack there. Make sure I get it on all the little tips there. Alright, let's see what this yellow is going to look like for our little sun. Oh, that looks good. So pretty. Oh, look at that. Stunning. Look how it is compared to the paint. So much prettier. So much prettier. Now, while you're doing this, while you're getting these painted and glittered up, because we gotta let the glitter dry, you can be getting your hot glue gun ready to go, or you can apply these with some E6000, whatever you want to do. You know, super glue, whatever you want to apply it with. I love me some bling. Blingity bling bling. Alright, let's see if I can get this back in the jar, or at least most of it. I could do the same with that clear stuff down there. If there's any of it that will still scoop up. I'm not losing as much. Okay, that's good enough. Ooh. I'll push that all the way down in there. That would not have been good. I've had my glitters for years, you guys, so as far as colors, I don't know what colors they are because the containers that they in are all clear containers with, you know, the little plastic containers with no lids. I mean, no labels, the boxes that they're in. So I've had them for years and years and years. So, you know, I say just go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's and get some that you like. And I mean, they'll last you a long time unless you start glittering everything that you paint. So those are going to get dry. I'm going to clean up my glitter and bring my shoes, my flip-flops back up here. Okay, we're going to finish shading on these. I have done one of each color already so you can see the difference. So I've shaded around the outside edge and around the strap. Look how that strap looks 3D compared to this one. It is amazing. All three of these have been shaded around the strap. Look at that. They lift right off of this flat surface. It is so incredibly cool. I love that about decorative painting. You just take a little bit of paint and wow, makes things pop. Okay, so I am going to be mixing my brown with all of my darkest colors. So my first one is going to be pink, my dark pink, and some brown, maybe a little bit less brown. And I'm going to tilt my brush up so just the bristles are going along that edge, but I've still got it loaded for a float. I do wet floats, so they are very kind of washy color. A little bit more water in my brush here. And we're just going to go all the way around the outer edge. I'm only doing this one time. We do not need to do it more than once, to be honest with you. Trying to keep this simple but still bold and, you know, just see the things you can do with just a little bit of paint. Alright, again, I had my brush. You can either lift it up. I turned it slightly like this and just let the bristles go down, the toe of the brush go down that edge right there. Okay? Oops. Picked up paint, completely filled my brush. I don't want to do that. That's a no-no for floating. Okay, we're going to go next to our straps. Still feel like I got a lot of wide paint in there. So awesome. Okay, we'll go down this side. Keep a baby wipe handy. If you get any up on the top of the strap, you can wipe that away before it dries. Look how it already looks like it's lifting off of that canvas. Love, love, love. All right, I'm going to flip this around because it's going to be a little bit easier for me to paint towards me to do this outer edge here. That's a little bit. Let me get a little bit more brown in there. Okay, I'm going to flip it back around so I can go back down this other side. That's definitely got more pink in it, or brown in it, than the other shoe, so let me get a little bit more pink in here. Look at that. Love it, love it. Okay, on this one, I think I need to darken over here on this edge. It doesn't quite look dark enough. All right, let's move over to the other sandal and get it painted in. It's my middle value blue. It's a washy float, you guys, and I only load my brush to there. Well, only load it to there. That's all that's getting paint on it. The rest of it has a little bit of moisture in it, but my float itself is kind of sheer. I can come back and repeat it, but if it's too dark, you know, you can't really take it away, so less is more. And, you know, I have to keep loading my brush frequently because I run out of water and paint, and so I have to go refill my brush with paint and water, and I just mix it as I go. I don't mix a whole bunch. I brush mix, and I just, you know, if it's close, that's good enough for me. It doesn't have to match. I don't like matchy-matchy, so. All right, let's go around the strap here. Got some up on the strap, so I'm going to have to clean that off. I don't have enough paint on my brush here. If I turn my brush a little bit sideways as I'm stroking that, I can push it a little bit closer to that if it feels like it's getting out extremely wide. Okay. I'm going to do this side. That feels a little wide. So I took a little bit of paint off and got a little drop of water because I knew it was going to pull the moisture out of my brush when I went and wiped it off. And you want to do fresh paint here. You don't want to have old paint because it's too hard to float if your paint is old, starting to dry out. Okay, I'm going to flip this over. Which one am I working on? I already forgot. This one. And out here on this edge. Okay, that looks pretty good. One more strap to do. I mean, just look at the difference. Incredible. All right, I'm going to take my medium green and some brown. And maybe just a touch more green in there. We're actually just dirtying up our shading color. So that's all we're doing by adding that brown. It's just making it a more dirty color. This is my medium green. I have 3 greens, a light, a dark, and a medium. So that one needs more green. Okay. I'm getting paint a little far over on my brush, so wash it out. Reload. A little bit more green here. I'm going to put just a touch more brown in the mix when I'm going over some of these green areas, because the green won't show up as well when it's okay, I'm going to do this outside edge so that I think my paint might be a little far over. Around this top up here. So awesome! I have to load frequently because I don't have a whole lot of paint or water on my brush. So awesome! Alright, let me see if I need to clean any of these straps. If I got up on the top of the strap a little bit with some of my shading color, I definitely want to clean that off. I want to make sure I don't drop down and get onto the flip-flop and remove stuff that I've got down there. Okay, my glittery things are not quite dry, so I'm still trying to decide on the letters, you guys. I originally was going to paint them black since the sides and the back are black. And then do a fun little shadowy thing on them. Let me dry this off because I don't want my pattern to get wet. So my thought process is still, I am undecided. I think I will like it once I put it on there, but I'm just not sure. I mean, I could paint them white as well, but I really was thinking to paint them black. But now I don't know because I've got these things. Let's see. Yeah, this one was going here, right? Oh, I forgot which way I wanted to put them on here. These suns are going here, and the flowers here. They're probably dry enough for me to glue on. And set those on there. And then deciding on the word across here. I just am so not, I don't know. I don't know. So, what you want to do is probably varnish this before you glue these on. Obviously, I'm not going to. Varnish it with an outdoor varnish because I said I was going to spray this, so I can still spray it, and I could, you know, re-bling those up if I need to. Or I could brush on varnish. I mean, you know, either way, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. So let's see if my hot glue is hot enough to actually glue down. Whoa. It's probably not been heating up as long as I would like to have it heat up. Super cute. Still getting a little bit of glitter off of these. I don't think I tapped enough off of these green ones because they feel like they still have a ton of glitter on them. Gosh, how cute is this thing? I am loving this. Loving, loving. Oh my gosh, you guys. That is so incredibly cute. Okay, I'm going to step away from this and see when I come back if I want to add something else to it. Or not, the letters at the bottom or not, I don't know. I'm undecided, so I'm gonna think about it and then come back and let you know whether this is done or I'm gonna add the letters. Okay, you guys, I am gonna leave these as is because I absolutely love them so much. I think they are so cute. I cannot wait to hang them on my front door because I love, love, love them. And I hope you guys are going to paint this project and love it just as much as me. The pattern has the shape, so you can either cut your own shape or just paint it on something else. Paint it on a bag to take to the beach. Oh my gosh, how cute with that. One pair on maybe each side of the bag. Oh, fun, fun, fun. So I am going to call this one done. Thank you so much for painting with me, you guys. I so appreciate you. I hope that you have enjoyed this one as much as I have because this was the funnest project I have done in a long time and I am so in love with it. So happy painting to you guys. Please subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this. Please comment and please share. I appreciate you all. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.